The Minamata Bay industrial waste incident, one of Japan's most notorious environmental disasters, began in the 1950s and came to light in the 1960s. It was caused by the release of toxic mercury into the water by the Chiso Corporation, a chemical manufacturing company, located near Minamata Bay in Kumamoto Prefecture. In 1932, the Chiso plant began discharging mercury-laden wastewater into the bay as part of its industrial processes. Mercury, a heavy metal, is highly toxic, particularly to the nervous system. The contamination went unnoticed for years, but in the 1950s local fishermen started noticing strange occurrences. Fish and shellfish in the bay were found to be behaving abnormally, and many animals were dying. In 1956, the first human case of what would later be called Minamata disease was diagnosed. The symptoms were devastating. Victims, primarily residents living near the bay, suffered from severe neurological disorders, including tremors, loss of coordination, numbness, and visual and auditory impairment. Some patients experienced complete paralysis and, tragically, many died. Infants born to affected mothers were also found to have severe birth defects. The disease was later identified as being caused by mercury poisoning from consuming contaminated fish and shellfish. As the number of victims grew, the government and Chiso initially denied any connection between the mercury pollution and the illness. It wasn't until 1968, after years of public outcry and protests from the affected communities, that the government officially recognized Minamata disease as a direct result of the industrial waste. The environmental and human impact of the Minamata disaster was catastrophic. Thousands of people were affected, either directly through mercury poisoning or indirectly through the contamination of their water and food sources. The Chiso Corporation, which had failed to take responsibility for the poisoning, later became embroiled in lawsuits. The company eventually agreed to compensate victims, but many activists and families continued to fight for justice, with legal battles dragging on for decades. The incident is considered a significant turning point in Japan's environmental history, leading to stronger environmental regulations and an increased awareness of the dangers of industrial pollution. It also raised global consciousness about the risks of unchecked industrial waste disposal and the long-term consequences of environmental negligence. Today, the Minamata disease is remembered not only as a tragedy but as a powerful symbol of the fight for environmental justice. It also served as a catalyst for the creation of policies focused on preventing similar disasters in the future.